Welcome back to the ministry. We are on part 4. So, coming back, they're at work and she's with Harley. Harley is making suggestions. I was saying in the previous part, don't you ever give a person that's interested in you the information that they need in order to seduce you. Don't do it. Don't do it. What's wrong with you? Don't open up to them. Don't tell them what your husband ain't doing. Don't. And let me tell you, this is a caveat because it's coming to me right now. The enemy is slick. The enemy knows you can be a person that's not going to tell nothing to nobody. But if he sits somebody around you long enough, he knows eventually you're going to open your mouth. If you don't have common knowledge that this person is a threat, I mean a real threat, I mean a real threat to you, you're going to open your mouth out of leisure and start talking. This man's been hanging around her for almost about a month now. So she opens up and said, my husband forgot about my birthday. Very simple statement. Opens the door. The door was already open. The 15 different things that were already happening. The sheet, it went over her head. But yeah. Satan don't care. Satan will always place bait in front of you, in front of your face. Remember, the guy told her about the fact that he liked to go running. He mentioned if she ever wanted to come, where he was. The enemy places the bait in front of you to see if you can be reeled in. This is a classic tactic of the enemy because he can get you on the technicality of, I didn't do nothing. I just told them where to go. They the one that could have made a perfectly adult decision not to come. If they dangle the bait in front of your face, if it's dangling in front of your face, then there's an issue. If you take the bait, I literally watched some fishermen the other day, and they talked about how they set up the bait for trapping, I think it was alligators at the time. And this concoction that they were putting together to bait the crocodile. They said that this type of bait, when placed in the correct place, they can't resist it. Don't be the person that couldn't resist the bait. So she decides, I'm going to go to the park for a run. Girl she ain't never run in her day in her life. She out here dressed in some slacks and a sweatshirt like she really out here running. And here she see him out out running. And he come to meet her. He's like, hey, what you doing up here? She said, well, I guess you did invite me, and I mean, no. The second that you made the decision to go meet them, you already was out here on the wrong tip on something. You understand what I'm saying? You was out here operating in the wrong spirit. Absolutely not. You intended to open the door because you shouldn't have never made a decision to go out there with him. So she went out there and started running with him. While they were out there running, she twists her ankle and falls on the ground. So he ends up having to take her home with him. Now, catch 22 situation. This is another major red flag. One, she shouldn't have went to his house. She should have said, Harley, drop me off at home. Because irregardless, she still had to call her husband, so her husband was going to have to come get her anyway. Why not just drop her off? But at the same time, I guess that's a good thing because he didn't know where she lived at. She could have said, drop me off at an intern place. Or, no, if she went to her mama would have been all up in her behind about that. But she could have been like, oh, just drop me here. Meaning, like, this place is about a few blocks from your house. Been like, honey, come get me. Could have told her husband to come get her. Or let him stay with her till her husband came. Irregardless, this whole situation was a mess because of the fact your butt shouldn't have been out there in the first place. This looks bad on all circumstances. If he'd have dropped her off at home, if her husband had to come pick her up because she was out here running with this dude, if she got dropped off with her mama would have been like, what the hell you was doing out here? And dude out here with no shirt on and comfortable in it. So it's one of those situations. As we know as Christians, we ain't supposed to be around no men that ain't got no clothes on. That in itself is temptation. So, yeah. And that alone, before she even entered the apartment, is a problem. Next, she gets into the apartment and she notices a pair of shoes. This lets you know, one, a woman is somewhere in this picture. There's a woman here somewhere. Now, I can't remember, and don't get me to lying, but I'm going to say this, and I'm not certain whether this happened or not, because I can't quite remember. I think the woman came out of the back of the apartment in a robe. I cannot remember. And he goes to her and tells her to go back, if I'm not mistaken. But I would think that if that was the case, she'd have tried to get out of there real fast if she saw that the way that he treated that woman. But the fact that the shoes were there, I do remember there being shoes on the floor, and she saw them. She ignores that because it should tell you this man got somebody at the very least. So she's in there and he's talking to her and he makes another underlying inappropriate comment towards her. But she already googly-eyed over it because he's rubbing her ankle and wrapping it up. And he's talking some inappropriate things while he's talking about rubbing her ankle and helping her. And her face looks like she already done bit the bait. Remember what I said about Elisa Marie said, don't bite the bait. Don't bite the bait. That was bait. And she done caught hook, line, and sinker. Her husband shows up to come get her because it's Saturday. And he helps her and he sees Harley. And this is his first time ever interacting with this guy. And dude's still walking around with no shirt on. I'm like, this man has no respect. But men like that are cocky. Let me tell you something. I heard a story from somebody. And they were talking about no, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on that because there's something coming up that's gonna be more relevant to that, and we close to it. just gotta slide it up. Um, so they went, and she notices the shoes. I explained about the bedroom situation. They talk. Her husband never really addresses the situation though. He don't make no issue about it. He doesn't even get upset. That's a red flag right there. If your spouse is not even getting upset, the husband should have at least gotten a little bit upset with that situation. Why were you there? What were you doing out there? Why does this man not have no shirt on? What in the world is going on? This should have brought red flags to the husband to be like, I need to start paying attention to my wife because... Now, I don't know whether this happened before, but I do know that when the wife addresses the husband ends up coming back about the birthday incident and doing a little dance for her with no clothes on and a guitar. She finds it absolutely hilarious, and they do a makeup session. Now, I don't know whether this happened before or after this. I can't remember. But I do know they made up. The mother... Wait. I don't think the mother's coming yet. Wait a minute. She's gotten to a point at work where she feels like she fits in, and she wants to change her appearance. So she starts to change her clothes. She went to Melinda and asked her, can we go in the closet? And the woman said, finally. I don't know what I can do for you, but I'm gonna try something. So she takes her entire look and sharpens it. She didn't take her too far left of what she already did, but she enhances what's already there. And she's like, I'm gonna try. And she puts her in better shoes. She puts her in fitted skirt. She puts her in nice business attire, all this kind of stuff. She changes her makeup, advises her on kinds of makeup to wear. She changes her hair so that it's more, instead of being that straight laced, it's more curly, which also is a reflection of the fact that she's changing, meaning she's no longer by the book no more. She's looser. Catch that hint? I don't know if her mother came to dinner first, because I know the mother did come to dinner, but I don't know whether it was just yet. So I'm going to give you that warning. But I am going to say there were warnings given to this woman several times about this man. And the man done told her straight to her face that he wants her. When you got a situation like this, do not put yourself in further jeopardy by continuing to take the bait. She has to go to a business trip that's a one-day major business trip to close the deal for this guy, Harley. Supposedly, I'm assuming that this is the last day of this deal. And he's not going to see her no more because he's going off to do whatever it is that in relation to his investment business. So the deal has to be closed today. They're closing it. They went to New Orleans. They do the meeting. While they're there, they eat. They enjoy the scenery. There was some type of celebration going on. They just enjoy it. And She's not noticing that he's putting his arm around her waist and they're laughing together and they're enjoying each other's company. And she's not really coming to the understanding. Red flag, red flag, red flag. This ain't your husband. Back the heck up. Oh my God. Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. So when they got on the plane to go, she sits across from him. So she don't even sit next to him. But by the time they're on their way back later that evening, she's sitting directly across from him. And they're talking. And while they're talking, he tells her that she's gorgeous. And she's like, oh. Now, this is the point where you start to sense that she's sensing, this is a bad idea. I need to diffuse this situation. She's like, oh, I appreciate you. And he's like, he starts to come on a little bit more stronger. He expresses his feelings to her. She tells him she's not interested. And he starts to say, you're not interested. And this is how a narcissist gets you. And this is how the devil will work. He already done laid 15 baited traps and she already done took all of them. So he now has the ability to say, you're not interested? How do you mean you're not interested? You did this the first time I met you. You did this the second time I met you. You did this. You met me in the park. You did this. You did this. You're not interested? We were just in New Orleans together. You're not interested. So this is where the enemy gets you. You already done did it and he got evidence to accuse you in the courts of heaven. So then she's sitting up there like, I can't, we couldn't do this. This isn't right. So she's trying to tell him, you changed your look for me. You did all of this. You showed up at the park. You told me how much. He ends up telling her. He tells her that, oh, you said your husband wasn't paying you enough attention. But I want to give you that attention. She's like, I don't. But the problem is it's just her and him on this plane right now. She's isolated. She's alone with him. What is she going to do? Unless you know some kung fu, karate chopping, kick butt type of maneuvers, child, keep away from these types of men. And I'm about to show you how that don't even work for you sometimes. You want me to show you? Because he starts to come across to her. He leans over her. She says, I'm not interested. Now, this is the point in time that her foot should have been up his groin. And she should have been slapping him up in the face. But even yet and still, she on the plane with him. So the whole situation is still bad. She could hurt him. But the fact of the matter is, she don't know how strong or how he hates being rejected. So he's still trying to forcibly ease himself onto her. He starts to kiss her neck and she's like, no. And then he starts to reach under her skirt. And y'all know when a guy starts to force himself, not so much forcing, because this is the thing that happens in rape cases. I used to watch SVU all of the time. If the man can get the woman to react, this is the number one thing that messes up a rape case, because the woman becomes now confused when put on the stand, because she was like, my body reacted. If he puts his hand up her skirt and starts doing something to her, your body gonna react. It's just a natural thing. You got to be dry as the Sahara Desert for you not to react to somebody manipulating you. So she gives into the situation. Coming back to what I was going to say, which are the two things that am I going to do? I'm going to tell the story. It's two different stories. So the way that the scenario played out, it left her in a bind, a real bad bind. But we as the viewer knew that she was kind of forced into it. So I'm going to come back to a reference of Buffy. Remember the guy that I said in the Buffy, he wanted to go on a date with her. Well, this is a year and a half later. She's already given in to him. She's already been sleeping with him, but she broke it off. This was the narcissist I was talking about in the fear, false evidence appearing real, that came up to her to make her pour the cure out. She's in her bathroom. She done been out, ended up in a tussle with some demons, and she came back. She goes upstairs. This guy has access to her house, and evidently, don't nobody lock the door in that house. For a demon slayer who constantly killing demons, she got an open door policy, because everybody would just open the door. I never seen nobody have no key to open the door ever. They just will open the door. But he comes in the house and goes upstairs to see his water running up there. She's in the bathroom trying to get herself together to get in the bath, running the bath water. He comes in the bathroom and he said, I came to talk to you. She said, I don't want to talk. I already said what I had to say to you. She's trying to tell him, look, this is over, we're done. He said, I don't believe that. And then he starts to do the exact same thing old boy tries to do. You trying to tell me we done, but we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. And she's like, but it's over. I'm over it. Because she doesn't suspect, not for 1 minute, that this man is going to do what he did. For one, he knows she's a slayer. So it would be a dumb mistake on his part to do what he's about to do. But he's not thinking. He's saying to her, I still want you. She's saying, I don't want you. It's over. He says, but I still do. So he grabs onto her and her bathrobe, and she closes it tighter, because she's not wearing nothing under the bathrobe, because she's about to get in the bath. And he's pushing himself upon her, and they end up on the floor tussling and rolling, and she's screaming, help, help, help. This is the most victim I've ever seen this woman in any episode, because she's literally in a situation where this guy, and the type of sexual relationship they had, he could have been on her and doing whatever he wanted to, just like that. But she was holding her robe shut. She was forcing his hands off of her thighs and sorry. And eventually she managed to kick him off of her. And once he fell into the wall, she tells him as she's getting up, that's why I could never love you. Get out my house, and the next time I see you, if you attempt to come anywhere near me, I'm going to kill you. Let's go into the scriptures, shall we? Hold on a second.